Welcome to the latest in our series of agency podcasts. Today I'm joined by Graham Wood and Harriet Naish-Bain from our Richmond and Boroughbridge offices. The topic of discussion is pricing and the importance of getting this right in a difficult market. Graham, if I could start with you, what is your experience of pricing, particularly pricing in the North Riding, and how important is it in the selling process?
Yeah, afternoon, John. I think pricing is always key when you're assessing a particular property. And I think the negative effects of overpricing, they can be eventually pretty catastrophic. You know, how many times have we done it? You know, driven past a property that's been on the market with another agent or whoever for out, and you point at it, so does everyone else who drives past. The long-term effect is it will sell for less than it would have done had it been priced properly in the first place.
I mean, I think you're right. To me, what it does is you point at a house and you say, I wonder what's wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it.
What's wrong with it?
It's purely on at the wrong price.
And you know, how often do we say, nobody wants to buy what nobody else wants to buy? Yeah. You know, you buy something when you perceive it to be the right value. And buyers and sellers, they all have the tools now. You know, everyone's an expert and they can find all the information because it's all out there for them. So they'll know.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And people have a place in which to start, don't they, where they think roughly my house is going to be worth. But the skill of what you guys do out on the road is be able to compare that to the other houses and say, well, actually, you know, your house is in this bracket or at the top end of the bracket or the bottom end of the bracket because of this and this. Yeah. They have a rough idea. They can get that from the portals. But the skill in getting it right and showing the marketplace that you've priced it right and giving them confidence has got to be the way to sell a house.
I think the important thing is of course, we are there to get the best price for the seller. And understanding where that line is to achieve it and know and have the confidence and the backup of previously sold properties, it's just key. It gives the owner confidence, you the confidence. And I think I was reading some statistics a couple of weeks ago. I think if you sell your house within the first, 4 to 5 weeks, it's almost guaranteed to go through. Yeah. Whereas if it takes 3 or 4 months, they're the properties that the sales fall through. Whilst it's anecdotal, but it does. You end up, wishing that you'd instructed someone who could justify and really give you good advice.
Yeah. Harriet, I assume you agree with all of that, and it's not different in your patch in the Golden Triangle, I assume?
No, it's not different. I mean, we were discussing it in the office yesterday that we're the one profession where everybody else is an expert at our jobs. You know, you don't get somebody going to a dentist and saying, oh, well, this is how you remove this tooth. But we constantly go into properties and we're told, well, I don't agree with you. And they will have their own justifications for that. You know, we're the professionals. We've done the jobs, Graham and I, for a long, long time. And we do go furnished with the correct information at that point of, the point of the appointment, so that we ourselves can genuinely, hand on heart, walk away from giving those figures and know that we've done the best by those potential clients. And it is tough out there in terms of there's a lot of, shall I say, golden carrot dangling by other agents with higher figures being promised. And I personally, and us in the Boroughbridge team, even this week alone, have witnessed a property that was on with another agent for over a year. I went back out, I gave my figures, they questioned the figures, I went back again, justified them again. The long and short of it being, we did a big price reduction. We ended up getting 2 parties fighting for the property and ended up very, very close to the higher figure where the property had been on the market for nearly a year, and the deal was done within a week. So it's having that confidence to explain that to your client and justify where the figures have come from.
Yeah, yes, obviously it can be frustrating. You think, well, I do know what I'm saying, but it's our job to give confidence to the buyer and the seller.
Yeah.
And I think they need to know, I love this house, I want to buy it. Should I be paying this amount of money for it? How can I justify it? And if you can persuade the buyer as much as the seller that what you've done is right, you've got much more chance of getting the deal through.
Absolutely.
I agree with you, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things change, don't they? You'll speak to an owner and on day one, they've got all the time in the world. They've not found anywhere. Life's rosy. It doesn't matter whether I move or not. Can we try a higher price? And of course, you get a call, the following week saying, we found somewhere, what are we going to do? You know, and it's all of a sudden everything takes off, isn't it?
So we're in the calm before the storm now, I suppose.
Start on the right, as you mean to go on. Yeah.
Well, I did a sort of rough check on the market before we had this discussion, and it's clear that there is a lot of overpriced stock on the market.
Massively.
Having said that, there's not very much stock on the market, but a large majority of that is on the market still because it's at too much money. And it seems to be, and I think it's an interesting one, it does seem to be that in the higher price bracket, these are the properties that some agents are definitely going for. I mean, we set ourselves in the medium to high price bracket market because our marketing is so good. We want to be there, but we don't try and win those instructions by overpricing it. We justify our involvement because of how we market, how we present clients' properties. But I think you can see, it's very clear for everybody to see there's a lot of unsold stock, and it is about price more than anything else. It's about price.
Yeah. Well, it's not doom and gloom for those people either, John.
No.
There are many examples we can lay our hands on where actually we've seen that happening. The owners feel a little bit tied to it or whatever, or, unduly loyal to poor advice, and actually talk to us. It's very relaxed, and actually we may well come up with a great plan, as we've just done. We've just done one out in the moors. It was fantastic, on the market with another agent, long period of time, change of agent, some amazing marketing from the likes of Sam, our marketing team, as well as our teams in the office. And all of a sudden, as a result, within a few months' time, and the owners have moved. And so even if that you have been a victim of that, stop, reassess, don't continue with what you're doing. Look at the options is what I would say.
Definitely, I agree with you, Graham. I've got a similar situation whereby because of we've got the pricing right, but alongside the expert marketing that we've got, and we're able to differentiate ourselves out there in the market, people are taking that on board. So yes, they might feel that they're taking a hit in terms of the pricing, but what we're then able to do is generate more interest because of the superb marketing and end up at those higher figures. Yeah. Because people look at it and understand, wow, this is an amazing house.
Completely agree.
So it's about helping the clients.
Now, I read somewhere the other day, actually yesterday, that one of your competitors believes they have created the first of its kind dedicated sales progression team.
Right.
Is this the sort of misinformation as dangerous as overpricing, or is it simply disingenuous and we should not worry about it? But I suppose to me it does give some concern that we're not being straight. The market isn't being straight with buyers and sellers out there.
Are we live?
It may be a little controversial, this, but I think it's another example of practice which doesn't fit with us. But
I think to a certain degree it is disingenuous. There are those of us out there who already have a fabulous sales progression team, who have been working extremely well alongside of us, all agents, for many, many years. So
Catherine came up on as a leader of our sales progression team as having had 10th anniversary with GSC Grays. So this is not a new concept.
No.
It isn't, but it's an extremely successful one, and it's great that people are adapting.
I agree. Let's move on. Okay, on a brighter note, there certainly seems to be a bit more activity out there. It's been a slow, cold winter, I think, for the market, everybody waiting. But today's announcement of the base rate dropping to 4.5% has got to help. How do you see your markets moving forward over the course of the next 3 to 6 months? I'll start with you, Harriet.
I'm hoping with the interest rate change, there's going to be more properties that come on the market. People are feel easier about making the move. We've certainly experienced people wanting to view properties, but they're not in a position to move ahead. So they're hanging back from marketing, which is then added to the lack of stock across the whole of the market. And, we were discussing with another agent down south earlier on today who was involved in a chain of ours, exactly the same scenario throughout the countrywide. People have been sitting on their hands, not doing as much. There's been more activity in terms of viewings of the existing stock, but there's more stock needed, and people
seems to be more applicants registering. There seems to be a keenness to get on with it after 6 months of malaise. Really, is that fair?
I think you're sitting on your hands, but what for? And I think it feels very much like we've got that level playing field now for everyone to start afresh. We're not seeing that post-COVID bonkersness. We're already preparing a number of sort of spring launches, ahead of time. And it just feels like there's that positivity in the market. Let's keep it cautious, but it certainly feels like
very, very different to last year. Yeah. I mean, last year's weather didn't help the situation, but the people that do want to move are getting on with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think people are fed up of being fed up and deciding to do it.
Yeah.
So outlook looks good. general consensus is that there's a keenness to get moving, for buyers to commit to buying.
Yes.
They understand that base rates are not at 1.5% or 0.25%,
Yeah.
and that the world has moved on.
Yeah.
4 to 4.5% seems to be about right. So let's just get on with it. They're simply now waiting for new stock, new opportunities to buy.
That's priced correctly.
Yes, of course.
Great. Well, on that note, I'll bring this session to an end. Thank you very much to you both for your insights. I think it is very useful, and I hope those of you who are watching us take something from this. And we very much look forward to seeing you again in the next of our series of agency podcasts.